GeoGebra, and this is what it looks like when you open it up, okay? Now, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to go ahead and center this graph. And you do that by clicking Move Graphics View, and I just like to have it centered. And you can also see with the arrow, change the values on the axes if you want, in or out. Where's the one? Oh, there it is. Okay. All right, and I usually like to keep it pretty much standard. All right, but you can adjust it however you want to adjust it. All right, now, we need to put your picture, first of all, you have to make sure the pictures you take are uploaded into your computer. The next thing you want to do, and this is much, what?
So it's easier to do it from your computer than do it on your phone.
Oh yeah, you can't do it on your phone.
Yeah, because I just.
Yeah, no, you can't do this on your phone. You definitely want to do it because you're going to want to put this into a Word document, and you can't do that on your phone anyway. All right, so here's what you're going to want to do. You're going to want to go to, you're going to want to, I'm sorry, back up. What I have done is I took my picture and I copied it to a Word document, okay? So it's easier if you put it into a Word document, or, well, you don't really have to put it into a Word document, I just did because it made it easier, and I cropped it, okay? Because I don't want the whole thing, this whole picture was like a whole wide view. I only wanted the sailboat. That's in fact, I could even crop it a little bit more. And to crop, you go to Picture Tools, see, and this is actually an internet picture I borrowed because I didn't have any on here. Okay, so there's a crop picture, okay? That's what I did, I cropped it down. All right, then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to Control C, which is copy that picture. Everybody knows how to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. Then what I'm gonna do is go back to GeoGebra, and you see here where it says Edit, and you see where it says Import Images From, and when I go to that, it says either File or Clipboard. It's easier to do it if you copied it to the clipboard from the clipboard rather than from a file. And so there's my sailboat. It's now in GeoGebra.
So you're just copying and paste from Word document and bring it back to GeoGebra.
Yeah.
But so you go to Options and.
You go to Edit.
Oh, Edit.
You go to Edit, and then Import Picture. It's Edit and Edit and Import Image. I'm sorry, it's Import Image.
Yeah.
And you just do it. The best thing to do is it from the clipboard. If you copied it from a Word document, then that's the easiest thing to do. Okay, now, here's what we need to do. I want to move my image. So, see it says move, drag, or select, move or drag selected objects. Okay, so I want to move this image to where my sailboat is more or less centered over, let's see if I can,
You're the worst.
let me move my axes down a little bit.
I'm sorry, I'm distracted.
All right, so what I want to do is, my picture's still a little bit too big. I want to move my image so that the picture is centered on the y-axis, okay? So, I'm going to center it on the y-axis, okay? And let me move this up a little bit. All right, so now I'm looking at this part of the sailboat. What does that look like?
A triangle.
The sail part of the sailboat.
Oh, absolute value.
Looks like an absolute value graph, doesn't it? Okay, so that's the function I'm going to use. Now, it is not literally the parent absolute value, because which way does the parent absolute value go? Goes up. How do I get an absolute value graph to go down? You put a negative outside the absolute value, right? Okay, so down here where it says input, I'm going to first of all put in a negative, because I want the opposite of the absolute value of x. Now, here's how you do absolute value on GeoGebra. It's just like with your calculator, okay? You can find it in the commands, or do you remember what your calculator uses for absolute value?
ABS.
ABS. So if I type in ABS, notice that down there, that input bar, it's got ABS bolded. When it bolds like that, it tells you the GeoGebra recognizes that as a command. And that's what you want to make sure it does. Okay, so now we're gonna do, I'm gonna open parentheses, and notice it put both in, and now I'm gonna stick in an X. Yes, ma'am?
Can you type?
Then or come.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right,
You just type ABS in this one, right?
I typed ABS, and then I did open parentheses, and then I put the X in between. Okay? Now, watch what happens when I hit enter. See the graph? See where it is down there at the bottom? See down here? Okay, but I don't want that graph at the bottom. So I'm using the pointer tool, and I'm gonna, see function F, I'm gonna move the function F up to the vertex of my sailboat, up here. Okay, notice when I did that, what happened to the equation? Look over in the right column, over where it says function f of x equals. Notice it changed where the vertex was, okay? And that's a good thing. But my graph is still too what?
Why?
Still too wide. So what do I have to do?
Change the window?
Nope, not change the window. How do,
Zoom
what's
out.
that called? I have to shrink it how? Sophia?
I said zoom out.
I'm shrinking it, am I shrinking it vertically or horizontally?
Translate it.
Horizontal.
I'm doing a horizontal shrink, okay? All right, so, think horizontal, think of
Translation.
what the shrink and stretch look like, and what does a horizontal shrink look like? Do you remember? Did we not go over that yesterday?
No.
Did we not get that far? Okay, well, you did do it in Algebra 2. A horizontal shrink is, or stretch, is when you take the X value, when I take this value right here, that's on the inside of the absolute value, and I divide it by some constant. If I want to stretch it, I divide it by a number bigger than 1. If I want to shrink it, I divide it by a number less than 1. Okay? So I want to shrink it, so I'm going to divide it by a decimal. What? What?
It's greater than 0.
Well, you don't want to make it negative doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense because negative flips it. We're only talking about positives, yes. All right, now, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go to the function and I'm gonna double click. And notice it puts a little cursor there. I'm gonna move the cursor over here to, see where the X is? And I'm gonna do divided by, because that's what I wanna do. It's X divided by C. Remember what I said about C? It's gotta be a less than 1. So I'm gonna do a decimal, I'm gonna do 0.5. Okay? Now I'm gonna hit enter and watch what happens to the graph. It got narrower, but it didn't get narrow enough, did it?
So you gotta do
Okay.
like 0.3 or 0.2.
So, at this point, I think I would try 0.25 instead of 0.5. So you come back up here to your function, double click again, because you have to get that little blue box in the cursor in order to change it. And this time, instead of 0.5, I'm gonna do 0.25, okay? I just inserted 2 in front of the 5. Now watch what happens. That's pretty darn close, okay? I would be happy with that, if you did that. What?
So even though there are 2 graphs,
What do you mean 2 graphs? I'm only interested in the 1. This is the absolute value I'm looking for. I don't care about anything else. There aren't 2 graphs on the picture. Well, I only got 1 graph there, that absolute value. Okay, that's all I'm looking for. Then you might be able to find other shapes in there, but I don't care about those. I only care about the 1. okay? Everybody got that? All right, now what I need to do is I need to take that image and put it into a Word document. So here's how you do that. You go back up here to edit, and you see where it says graphics view to clipboard? That's what I want. So I'm gonna come down and I'm gonna click on graphics view to clipboard. Now, when I did that, you see the little blue spinning circle? That means it was copying the picture. Now what I wanna do is open up a Word document, a new one. I wanna open up a Word document, a blank one, and since I wanna use maximum, I'm gonna make it a narrow margin. Okay, now I've opened it up. Now what I wanna do is paste my picture. Oh, look at that. Okay, now that's a little bit too big. It takes up a little bit too much space. So I'm gonna crop it, okay? So I click on the picture and go to Picture Tools and go to Crop. Because I don't need quite all of this graph. I want some of it, but I don't need quite all of it, okay?
Are we gonna go over the shrink and stretch?
Yeah, we're gonna go over shrinking and stretching, so don't worry. I am gonna do that. Okay, all right, so that doesn't count me. All right, so I need to see a little bit of the graph sticking out, but I can see the image. Okay, so there we go. We have our image. Okay, now if I want, I can shrink it more if I think it's still a little bit too big. I can shrink it down a little bit by just doing that. Everybody hopefully knows how to do that. Okay, now what I need to do is I've got to put the equation in there, okay? So we're going to come over here to insert, and I'm going to insert a text box, okay? Now, first thing I want to do is identify what kind of graph I have. So I have an absolute value. This is an absolute value, value function, okay? Then what I want is the parent function or equation, and that would be y equals absolute value of x. So that's the parent function. And then I want the actual function or equation. I want the actual one. Okay, here's how you get the actual one. Come back to GeoGebra. Come back over here, highlight that function, and then do Control C, which is copy. I copy it into right here where the cursor is. I do Control V, and it copies it. Now I don't actually want that little dot there, and I actually would like it all on one line. So I'm just gonna stretch it out. Now I actually would like this next to my picture, so if I move it, oops. It's not gonna.
Like on the
You
side?
need to shrink it a
Yeah,
little bit.
I can put it on the side, I gotta shrink this a little bit. And I need to shrink my picture a bit, yeah, because my picture's still too big. Okay, so if I shrink the picture down, and now I can move this up. Okay, now they're side by side, okay? Then you have one more thing to put in here, and that is the paragraph about, or not paragraph, the sentence about what the picture is. So this sailboat picture was taken, in Sarasota in July. Okay? So then
Did you make that up? Like,
I'm gonna move that down, right there.
that sentence
Okay? And there you go.
on the side?
Okay, so that's what I should see, and you should be able to fit 3 of them on a page. Yes, Maya?
But you have to take your own pictures.
Yes, you do.
Can't be from.
You cannot take one from the internet, they have to be taken by you.
Can I pull them off my
Brian?
Instagrams? Why don't you like take me ones? That was like true.
Is there any way to fix the graph so you can see it better?
No, to change the color of the graph, like, so you can see it.
I haven't figured that out yet.
Like, what if you print it, are you gonna be able to see the, absolute value?
Yes, because here's how you're gonna do it. You're gonna print it in grayscale for me,
Oh.
okay? Does
So
everyone know how to
it's not
print
gonna be
grayscale?
Yeah.
The reason I'm telling you to print it in grayscale is because if you have a picture like that sailboat and you print it in color,
This looks nice.
that is like gonna really take up all your ink. So what you wanna do is you go to print, see here it says printer properties, you go to printer properties, you go to advanced, and there's grayscale. And you click OK, and so then what that means is it'll now click, if I print it, it's gonna print in black and white. Okay, it won't print color. Now, as far as, you can try if you wanna make the graph sharper, no, it won't let you format the picture. Sometimes it'll let you format the picture, but it doesn't look like it's gonna let you format it. Let's see what it does, picture effect, no, see, it's not gonna. I guess you could try recoloring it or saturating, something like, you could try one of these. You know, it's just, play with it and see, about what the best I could tell you. The other thing is, you can fit, I don't want you to try to fit any more than about 3, maybe 4 on a page, because otherwise the picture gets too small and I can't see it. Okay?
Front and back, or?
Well, here's the problem with front and back. If your paper is thick, good quality paper, then you can do front and back. But if you've got thin paper, it's gonna bleed through and it'll be too hard to see both sides. Because you know, pictures have a lot of ink on them, so it'll be too hard to do front and back, I think. Okay, yes ma'am?
If we work with a partner, are we turning in just one, or each of us turns in?
Okay, if you do it with a partner in one of my classes, then you just turn in one and make sure both names are on it. And if you're in 2 different periods, what periods you're in, each of you. If you choose to do it with a partner in Mr. Key's class, then you have to do 2 separate, you have to turn in 2 separate copies. Because he has to get a copy, I have to get a copy. And I don't need your partner's name then, I only need yours. Okay? Does that answer your question? All right. And yes, you have to take the pictures. They can't be pictures somebody else took. You have to take them, okay? And if you have any other questions, let me know. Okay, so now what we have to do is finish what we didn't finish yesterday.